When anxiety has our mind feeling like an overstuffed closet or a web browser with too many tabs open, what can we do to declutter the mess and clear our head? In this video, I'm going to explain why we can often end up overwhelmed by the sheer weight of traffic in our mind and take you through some very simple ideas to declutter your thoughts and ease the mental congestion. Let's do it. Welcome back to the channel. If this is your first time, I'm Tim Box. I'm a mind coach, anxiety therapist, and author of the book, Clear Your Head. Every day I work with clients one-to-one to help them overcome all sorts of anxiety issues, and one of the most common areas we end up focusing our efforts is the idea of mental and emotional overwhelm. So if at times your mind feels loud, chaotic, and constantly buzzing with concerns, then don't worry. Firstly, you're not alone, and secondly, I've got you. Let's see what we can do today to declutter your mind and clear your head. But hey, first things first. Let's start by understanding the root cause of a cluttered mind. We live in a world that throws so much at us. Most of us have a whole gamut of issues competing for our attention. Work, relationships, health, social obligations. There's always something demanding our mental space. We basically have a lot of things we might regard as important. Now, the way your mind highlights for you what it thinks is important is to spark anxiety. This is why we often talk about anxiety being an essential and useful emotion. Without it, we'd fail to notice the importance or see the value of anything. Now, whilst this makes anxiety a useful emotion, it of course then comes with a downside. The more things we consider important, the more cluttered and noisy our mind becomes. That's why when life gets chaotic, anxiety levels spike. Then of course we might start to regard the increased anxiety as an important thing to focus on. And by doing that, we then create that anxiety feedback loop you'll often hear people like me talk about. Now, I have a video about that I'll link in the description to this one. But the initial problem here is that we often fixate on things that are completely out of our control. Focusing on things that are outside of our control inevitably creates a sense of helplessness. We end up feeling overwhelmed, not because we can't handle our responsibilities, but because we're trying to control the uncontrollable. That's what ultimately causes that feeling of overwhelm as we clutter the mind with things we can do nothing about. Yes, these things are important, but no amount of anxiety-fueled focus will achieve anything except taking up valuable mental and emotional space that could be used elsewhere. But if that's how it happens, how do we fix this? Well, there are 3 steps we can take that can make all the difference in this equation, serving to declutter the mind and have us feeling back in control. As we've already said, focusing on things you have no direct control over is the problem. But let's go back to a very simple maxim we need to remember. What we focus on grows. If we choose to focus on the things that are outside of our control, then we give ourselves a disempowering, negatively biased perspective on life. We start to see those things we can't influence as all-consuming, and inadvertently give ourselves the perspective that everything about life is outside of our control. This then, of course, robs us of any kind of agency. In truth, there's only one thing in the world we have genuine control over, and that's our own actions and responses. We can't control what happens, we can only control how we choose to respond. So rather than focusing your mind on the areas of your life you have no control over, instead focus on the things directly in front of you, the things you can actually do something about. When you do this, you give yourself a more positive perspective of your own agency. Everything within your point of focus are now things you have control over, thus lowering anxiety and helping you feel back in control. This shift in perspective brings clarity. You start to see the world through the lens of what you can influence, rather than feeling helpless about everything that seems out of reach. So here's the truth that most of us resist. You've never been fully in control. And that's okay. Life's always had elements of unpredictability, and yet you've survived and even thrived despite that. The more you come to terms with this reality, the more peace you'll find. Think of it this way. You've probably been through a lot in your life. You've had a lot of challenges thrown your way. However, in some way, you've coped with everything life has thrown at you. Yeah, there are times when it knocked you down, maybe times when you didn't think you could prevail, maybe times when you needed help from others. But here we are, talking and breathing, still moving forwards. And funnily enough, the times when you were at your best were the times when you focused on your actions rather than stressing over uncertain outcomes. It's an often overlooked truth that the most unpleasant part of any struggle is usually the fear of the unknown. In reality, catastrophizing never helped anyone get the other side of any challenge. In fact, it's probably caused you more stress than the actual challenge itself. So instead of doing it that way, remind yourself that it's perfectly fine not to know the outcome. You never did before, and you're still here. Trust in your ability to navigate whatever happens next. The third action to take to ensure your mind becomes and remains decluttered is to work on a very simple principle: one thing at a time. Let's talk about that never-ending to-do list. A cluttered mind often stems from trying to do everything all at once, trying to complete the list of tasks still to be done. But here's the reality: your to-do list will never be fully done. That's because as you cross off one task, another will take its place. That's not a problem with your efficiency, that's just life. So if we accept that completing an ever-growing list of tasks is impossible, let's stop trying to do that. This isn't Wonderland and you're not the Queen of Hearts. Instead of chasing the impossible goal of getting everything done, focus on one thing at a time. Prioritize the next important thing and have faith in your ability to get it done. If it doesn't happen today, that's okay. Life goes on and you'll handle it when it comes. The simple fact is that if you allow yourself to take one thing at a time, then it's very hard to get overwhelmed, because one thing at a time is what we do best. Also, whilst we're here, stop beating yourself up for still having things to do. The fact that there are things left to handle does not mean you've failed. It just means you're human, living a full and rich life. As well as these three strategies, there's one more very important thing to add. But before I do that, I just want to mention the members area of this channel. If you're finding my videos of value and they're helping you get a better degree of control over your anxiety response and your emotional well-being, then why not check out the members area? For just £9 a month, you get exclusive content, including my control system self-hypnosis method for changing your own patterns of thought and the full Clear Your Head Anxiety Relief Program. Also, every week I go live for the members to do an exclusive anxiety Q&A. Just click the join button on the homepage and I'll see you on the other side. But anyway, on to that important thing I was about to say. Let's address a major contributor to mental clutter: the anxiety about being anxious. So many of the people I work with are in a constant low-level state of fight or flight, and because of that, they now view everything through the lens of threat. This creates the perceived need to be hypervigilant and to look on every aspect of our life, trying to discover in what way that thing might be of danger to us. And of course, if we have to scan everywhere for potential threat, then we'll quickly become overwhelmed with information. But here's the thing, we're only in that mode because at some point we've started to believe that feeling anxious means there's something wrong with us. The anxiety itself becomes the perceived threat. And the simple truth is, it isn't. Anxiety is a natural human emotion. It's not something to fear, and it's definitely not something to fix. It's not an indicator of illness or malfunction. It means we're human and we care about various aspects of our life. There's nothing wrong with that. In fact, caring about yourself, that's a good thing. Once you stop being afraid of feeling anxious, you'll notice that the noise in your mind starts to quieten and the clutter starts to dissipate. Those three principles we mentioned earlier are much easier to follow when we're not terrified of becoming anxious along the way. So much of our cluttered mental process comes from the frantic need to cover all bases and protect ourselves from potential unpredictable disaster. So here's the most important takeaway from all of this. Regardless of what you've been through, regardless of what might be on the horizon, regardless of what you might think of yourself right now, you are good enough. You've made it through every challenge so far, and you'll make it through the next one too. When you declutter your mind by focusing on what you can control, accepting that you can't control everything, and tackling one thing at a time, you create mental space for clarity and peace. Remember, you're not defined by how much you get done or by how anxious you feel. You're defined by the fact that you always show up, do your best, and get to the other side of whatever life throws at you. So trust in yourself. You've got this. I really hope this video was of use. If so, then give it a thumbs up and share it with someone who might benefit from it. And don't forget to subscribe for more content on how to clear your head, manage anxiety, and live a life that's truly yours. Thanks for watching. Always remember, be kind to your mind. I'll see you next time.